Hi everyone, we are Cinnamon Bun Workshop cinnamon bun making today for our workshop. So just logging on and allowing you the opportunity to just come find us. So we'll wait a minute. Mr. Boozy Baker is behind camera, taking your questions and any comments. So we'll just wait for everyone to come online. We're a bit early today, but only just. If you're joining us, feel free to tell us who you're with, who's baking, where you're from. We love hearing from you. It makes it more fun for us if we can interact with you.
Ed says hi. Susie's saying you're looking very glam.
Thank you very much.
Hi from Sandra. Hello from Michelle.
Hello, hello, hello.
Emma.
Hello.
So Ed says he's got Sarah and Grace with him today in Roland's Castle.
Oh, you're not that far then. Excellent.
We've got Rona from Stevenage.
Hello.
Leanne joined for the first time, very excited.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, if you've not done one of our workshops before, do tell us. This is a really popular one. You guys asked for this. You wanted cinnamon buns. I was a little bit unsure because I've seen a few people commenting about the proving time because it's bread related. And no, it's all right. We've got that sorted. We've worked it out for you so we can do this within the workshop time. So this has been a really popular one. A lot of people wanting to come online for this. So if you're here for the first time, you're very welcome. And if you want to catch up with any of the other workshops, we've got them all on video on our Facebook page and our YouTube channel.
So we've got hello from Celeste and Elliot.
Hi Celeste, hi Elliot.
We've also got people saying how they got their kits ready. They're very excited.
Excellent.
They're able to buy it.
I'm glad we could help with the kits. That wasn't compulsory, but because it was a bread and a yeast related bake, we just wanted to offer you the chance to have a kit to make things easier for you.
And we've got Shalina, Beth and Julie, all first timers with us.
Oh, excellent. Good to have you with us. So I'm just going to give it a few minutes. It's an ideal time to wash your hands. And for the eager ones among you that I know ask, there is no need to set your oven temperature today. Not yet anyway, because we've got to let the cinnamon buns prove. So we're going to do all the baking bit, all the preparation, and then we're going to, when I log off later, you're going to just leave them for an hour or two and set your oven temperature then. But I will explain it all as we go along.
So we've got Dawn with Albert are baking, we've got Jean and Rachel, we've got Kate from Coventry.
Excellent, excellent.
Laura in North Walsham.
Brilliant.
And Samantha in Birmingham, Claire on the Isle of Wight.
Now you've noticed I've got no children with me today. I've normally got an Erin or a Max. They've both decided that they want to go and build Lego. That's no problem at all. Max has done these, so we have tested this out with children as well. So regardless of your age or ability, you will be able to make these, I promise.
Isabel's noticed your dyed hair and loves it.
You like it? It's very pink. If I let it down, you would see a lot more pink. Mr. Boozy Baker did it for me.
Fiona, should butter be at room temp or from the fridge?
It won't matter because we're going to melt it, so don't worry too much.
Hello from Marie and Kent. Brianna's first timer.
Excellent.
Kate from Soberton Heath.
Hello, not too far away either.
Claire's also a first timer. We've got Joe in the New Forest.
Brilliant.
Vicky and Chris in Manchester. Martha age 9 from Abingdon.
Well done. These are the yummiest treats. I mean, you can't beat a good cinnamon roll, can you, with cinnamon bun? So how are we looking? Have we got some we all up on numbers? It's only just turned 2 by my reckoning, so we'll give people a bit longer. But if you want to wash your hands, great opportunity to do that now. And we're going to talk through every part. So if I haven't mentioned it, if you're worried that I've missed it, by all means say something. But we're going to go through it step by step by step at a hopefully a nice pace. I will repeat things. So if you're particularly if you're in a kitchen and you've got someone next to you and you might have missed something, don't worry, I will keep repeating things as we go along. I will give you options. If you think, goodness, I'm not going to be able to eat this many, we will tell you about freezing or other options you could do with some of the dough. If you don't like cinnamon, but you thought you'd join a cinnamon bun workshop, that is no problem, because we have options to leave that out as well and create yourself more of like a Belgian bun, not a bun. Don't do a bun. So yeah, so we've got options as we go. So what I will ask is, as we go through each step, give me a thumbs up when you're ready to continue. A lot of my things I've weighed out already, just because I'm in a more limited space and I'm trying to field your questions. So I will leave gaps between them, but we will try and go at the same pace for everyone.
Beth has asked, is this by hand or can we use a mixer?
You can use a mixer. There will be some kneading. If you find it easier to mix, you can do. You don't need to though, by any means. All of our recipes we've tried to do that you can do it by hand. But if you would rather, like me, have a drink in hand and let the machine do the work, that is no problem.
Michelle's got Arabella age 10, looking forward to making the buns.
Excellent.
And there seems to be one or two family competitions going on as well.
Oh, brilliant. So do like an inter-family or friend bake-off. I think they're brilliant. Do shout outs across. We love hearing from you. So I can't see what you're saying, but Mr. Boozy Baker is behind the camera. He'll be taking your questions and doing any shout outs so I can join in too.
And we've also got a hello from Anna, who's for the first time. And Julia's asking, should the yeast be live or dry? It
doesn't matter. So this has been made both ways. You tend to need a little bit more. So we've factored for dried yeast with 15 grams. You will need slightly less with live yeast, but either will work.
And is 2 teaspoons of yeast the same as 15 grams? The scale's not precise enough.
Yeah, you're good with 2 teaspoons. To be honest, most of the time I do any bread, I just teaspoon it in anyway. I'm not a massive weigher fan, so yeah, 2 teaspoons is fine. Right, we're going to get started then. Yeah, all good? Thumbs up?
How much flour do we need?
600 grams of strong or bread flour. Same thing really. We all good to get started? Brilliant. Right, assuming you've all washed your hands, we don't need the oven on yet, so don't worry about that. We need 260 ml of milk. It can be any type of milk. We need to warm this up to body temperature, or the same warmth as a baby's bath. So having done this before, I find I do a 30-second burst in the microwave, give it a stir and do another 30-second burst, and then I will test it to see if it needs a little bit longer. But just, I'm trying to do it that the kids that are joining in don't have to do a heat source. So I'm going to give this to Mr. Busy Baker for a second. So I'm going to put that on for 30 seconds in the jug. That's 260 millilitres of milk. Bear with him, he will come back and get your questions.
Yeast, the 10 gram packs of easy yeast, are they okay?
Yeah, that's fine. As long as it's yeast, it's fine. And if you have got yeast and you're not sure it's working, I've got a nice little trick for that, which we're actually going to do as part of this. But if you've got yeast, like old dried yeast in your cupboard and you're not sure it's working, get a little bit of warm water, get a teaspoon of sugar and then a teaspoon of the yeast and give it a stir. If it starts to bubble on the top, you've got active yeast still. So if it's out of date and you wish it worked, just give it a test. Right, so I'm just going to stir this. I know this isn't warm enough yet, so I'm going to give that straight back to Mr. Boozy Baker to put in. The reason why I'm stirring it is just to make sure that I'm distributing that heat where the microwave won't get all the way through that quickly.
Again, how much flour is required?
So 600 grams of strong bread flour.
And how much milk?
260 ml of milk. So it doesn't matter if it's full fat milk or skimmed milk, you just need 260 ml of it. And that's being warmed to body temperature. So kind of like you were going to put a baby in a bath, you know, that kind of, you want some heat, but we don't want it too hot.
Got a couple who've just joined us late. Can you just repeat what's happened?
Yeah, no problem. So we're not preheating any ovens, so don't worry about that. You haven't missed much at all. All we've done is we've put some milk into a jug. It's 260 ml of milk. And I've just done 2 short 30-second bursts in our microwave because I want it to be warm. I'm going to test that now. I said I want it to be about body temperature. Yeah. 2 short bursts of 30 seconds is fine. That's now, as a nice, I can feel it on the outside. It's got some warmth, but it's not too hot. We don't want to kill the yeast that we're about to add.
Ed's asked, do I put milk in the flour? No, not yet.
No. All you need to do is just, we're going to have to take this step by step. This is the most technical recipe we have done on our workshop. So the best thing is, if you're not sure, ask the question first, and we will do it ever so gradually. So all we've done at the moment is 260 ml of milk heated to body temperature in a jug.
Danny has said 15 grams of yeast. Do I add water to it?
No. So if we haven't said it, don't do it. So it's 260 ml of milk in a jug. Once that's heated to body temperature, now I'm going to tell you what we're going to add to that.
Susan's saying microwave, is it on high? Ours is on the high temperature.
So ours is about 900. Just do what you know your microwave does. So ours did 30 seconds, gave it a stir, another 30 seconds. That's fine. We don't need it to be absolutely accurate. We just want a little bit of warmth.
And Tom's asked, if he doesn't have a child, how warm should it be?
Body temperature. So just a bit of warmth. If you were going to run your tap for a bit, you can feel it. It starts to get that bit of warmth. You don't feel the cold anymore, but you don't want it to have absolute heat in it. Just warm.
Will wholemeal bread flour be okay?
It'll be a different taste, but if it's bread flour, it will rise. Right, I'm going to move on just because I've got some heat in my jug here. So I'm going to do 2 teaspoons. So if you bought us a cinnamon kit, you will have a sugar mix. You want to take 2 teaspoons of it and add it to your milk. So that's all I've done is 2 teaspoons of sugar to my mix. That's caster sugar. If you have something different, use something different. But I'm just mixing that into my milk and I want it to dissolve into it so I can still feel the warmth. And I've added a bit of sugar.
Louise has got 2 sachets of the dried yeast.
Yeah, perfect. So have we got a thumbs up or have I moved too fast?
And Jane has asked, do you need to put the oven on?
No temperature, because we've got to leave it to prove. After the workshop, you will have about an hour for them to prove. So no oven temperature needed. Just 260 ml of milk, warmed up to just a nice body temperature. So not too much heat, and we just want to get that coolness off. And I've added 2 teaspoons of the sugar. So if you've got a kit that was the sugar mix, just a couple of teaspoons from that. Then, whilst we've got some warmth in the jug, I'm going to add my 15 grams of dried yeast. This can be fresh yeast, it can be dried yeast, it doesn't matter. Add that to your warm milk and give it a stir. Now, the reason we're doing this is it's a really good way of activating your yeast to help with your cinnamon buns to rise. So once I've given it a mix, I can see some of the powdered yeast on the top. It's not a problem. The milk and the sugar is going to help activate that. So that's all we've done so far is milk, 2 teaspoons of sugar, and the yeast.
How much yeast was it again?
So 15 grams of dried yeast. If you have fresh yeast, just a good teaspoon. If you haven't got an exact measurement, just a couple of teaspoons of dried yeast will be fine.
If the milk's a bit hot, should we wait a bit?
Yeah, if you want to keep up with us and you're worried, you could always tip out a bit of if you've got enough milk to do it, tip out a bit of your milk and add a bit of cold and give it a mix. So you've got the same amount, but just a bit cooler.
And how much fresh yeast if you use some fresh yeast?
Just a heaped teaspoon. Just make sure it's all crushed before you put it in. Put it in, I mean, mine, I'll put it out to the camera. If you can see that, I'll let you take it. It's just, I've got little lumps of yeast all over the top. My sugar's mixed in and my yeast is on the top. And what will happen is that will start to activate and you will see that form like a foaminess and get bigger. So it might not get massive, but it will just start to activate that whilst we're doing all the other steps. So once you've got a jug with your milk, your warm milk, your 2 teaspoons of sugar stirred in and dissolved, and your 15 grams or a little less, 15 grams of dried yeast or a teaspoon of fresh yeast, give that a mix, and that's where we've got to. That's what's in my jug. I'm going to slow down. I know that I give fast instructions sometimes, so I will keep repeating and let you guys catch up. Cheers.
Peggy hasn't received her kit yet. She's taking notes. Peggy, it does come with the recipe as well. It will be with you shortly. Some will post it out on Thursday.
There you go.
Yet to arrive, unfortunately.
Yeah, so you do have a method with it, and of course you can always watch this back as well. So how are we doing, people? Tell us how you're getting on. Lots of thumbs up.
It smells yummy as well.
It smells yummy already. You have no idea that this is going to be amazing by the end. So if you look, you should see, it's particularly good for if you want to tick off home ec and science today for the kids. It should be kind of nicely foaming a bit now on the top. So if it's not, don't worry, because you've added it, it's in there, it's doing its thing. Right, I'm just going to put that out of the way so I don't knock it over. That is that bit. Now, we're going to measure out 90 grams of the butter. If you don't have butter and you want to use margarine or oil, you just need the equivalent weight. It's 90 grams of butter. And we're just going to melt that again in the microwave. I promise I'm going to stop heating and melting things eventually.
If the yeast is floating on the top, is that okay?
Yeah, so mine is, just give it a stir. It will naturally rise. That's no problem. So would you mind, again, Mr. Boozy Baker, melting that? So I'm just putting that in the microwave for 30 seconds. Mine's already been at room temperature. So if yours has come out the fridge and it's solid butter, you might need another burst. I'm not looking for heat now. I'm just wanting it to melt. And what this is going to do, the butter is going to soften our cinnamon buns. Mr. Boozy Bakers will be back on the questions, I promise. We're good? We're good. So 90 grams of butter. So don't add it, once you've got it, don't add it to anything yet. We're just prepping at the moment. Yeah, that's fine. So I've just been handed the butter. I've got quite a hot ramekin dish, and it's, can you see that from the screen? It's hot. Okay.
Asbestos hands.
So I'm just going to stir that myself to melt it, because I really don't want to add any more heat to that. I can feel it in the ramekin.
Deb said the recipe says 150 grams of butter.
Yeah. We're going to use 90 now, and we're going to add some other bits of butter later. So your recipe kit, I've just bundled, not the one you've bought, your extra ingredients, or if you're doing it without the kit, I've just said that's how much butter you need, because that is the total amount, but it's only 90 grams. But thank you for pointing that out, because that could be confusing.
And Louise has said completely melted?
No, it's fine. I mean, I've got lumps in mine. It's not... You need it to be soft. It needs to be able to blend into your dough. So just soft, part melted will do. Mine is quite lumpy at the moment, but it's going to melt whilst I'm talking to you. So I'm just going to leave it at that.
Again, yes, the butter is being used in 2 parts, 90 grams for this stage and the rest later.
Yeah, so your ingredients list was basically so you knew what you needed to get hold of. So yeah, it is 90 grams, I promise. So once we've got some melted butter, if you give me a thumbs up.
Well, we meant to add all the yeast that we were given in the kit.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, everything that, if you've bought a kit to help you, this wasn't compulsory, but if you have a kit, everything is in the exact measures, apart, and then you'll have what's called a cinnamon mix. We will be making that up of 3 parts. You just have a cinnamon mix, but everything else is in the right quantities. So I said with the sugar, take a couple of teaspoons out of it, but we'll guide you along. Hopefully this is all making sense. As I said, this is the most technical one we've done, but I promise you will get there. It'll be really good.
I think 1 or 2 people may have melted the full 150.
That's not a problem. Don't worry. try to, I don't know if, I'm not a scientist. Richard, if you weigh out 90 grams of melted butter, does it have the same weight? No, I didn't think it would.
You'll need about 60% of the butter for this stage and keep the other 40% for later.
Yeah, what he said. So don't worry, because the other bit needed to be melted as well. It's just, you don't need it until later on. So if you did melt all of it, as Richard said, use about 60% of it. Right. How are we getting on? Have we got some thumbs up? I'm sorry if some people might be right on it and be quick, and other people might be having to get things out of the fridge or try and help their children from doing it. So we'll try and keep it at a nice even pace. Okay, right. Now we are going to beat an egg. I know this all seems very bitty at the moment, but what I want to do is to be able to get to the stage that we've all got everything needed to make a dough. So you've got one egg. You're using the whole egg. So I'm just going to crack that into a little bowl. Cereal bowl or a cup will do. And I'm just going to whisk that up with a fork, just so that it's combined. Like you're making scrambled egg, I suppose, just don't add anything else.
Laura's yeast is really frothy now.
Yeah, mine is too. If it's not, don't worry, but I don't know if you can see that. Can you hold that up to them? It's the reason why we did it for the first thing we did, because we want it to have time to activate. And that just helps with the whole proving time, because we're trying to speed this up for you guys so you can eat delicious cinnamon buns quickly. So you've now got, just to recap, your jug of your milk with a couple of teaspoons of sugar and your yeast in a jug, and that's all mixing and doing its thing.
Krishna has asked, what can we replace the egg with?
Right, if you don't want to use egg, just leave it out. If you want to add a little bit more milk, you can do that. Something like 30 ml of extra milk, you can do that, and you can add that in a minute. Or just leave it out. I accidentally did this and they were actually quite good. The milk just adds a bit more softness. So we've got your melted butter, 90 grams of that needed for now, and one beaten egg. That's all we've done. We're now, sorry, I'm having to refer to my notes and make sure that I get it right for you guys. So we're now doing 600 grams of flour. So if you bought a mix, you've got the whole 600 grams there. If you could just save a tablespoon and put it aside, because you're going to need that for kneading later. When we've got the dough, we're going to put a teaspoon on the worktop and use that to stop our dough from sticking. So I'm just going to, oh thank you, I'm just going to swap hands. Oh, that much out, just a nice loaded tablespoon.
Sarah's asking, how melted is the butter? Is it liquid?
Mine's got a few little lumps in it of softened butter. That's fine. It's going to easily be kneaded into my dough. That's what we're looking for.
And Beth's asked, should the flour be sifted?
No, it's fine. We're not looking to get air in it by a sift, so just as it is fine. So that's 600 grams of strong bread flour, and I've taken out just a tablespoon and put it on one side.
Virginia's asked, can you use self-raising flour or regular plain flour?
You can't, I'm afraid. You need to have the rising power of a strong bread flour. I know that's really frustrating, and that's why we did the kits, because you guys wanted the cinnamon buns, but it did require the yeast and the bread flour. So if you are making it with it, it won't rise as much, and you'll probably, if you have a go with it, you're still going to get something that's edible, but you'll need to really knead it to get some of the glutens going.
And Tom's asked, is Mr. Boozy Baker really Joe Wilkinson from Afterlife? You sound very similar. Thank you. I don't have his beard.
Which one's that?
His beard.
Oh, I need to look him up now. I know Richard watches that.
Definitely not.
Right. So hopefully you've all weighed out your flour, but I'm giving you a minute because I was just like, here's one I made earlier with my weighing. Of course, if you've got the kits, it was already weighed out for you. How are we doing? We've got some thumbs up happening. We'll wait, it's fine. We've got some thumbs up. Excellent.
There's a lot of people who've watched Joe Wilkinson in Afterlife as well.
I'm missing out. At the moment, we're watching something together, which I've already watched a whole 10 series of, and I'm just getting Mr. Beezy Bakers into it. It's good. Right, if you know Rick Grimes, then you'll know what we've been watching. Right, okay. Are we ready to go with the next bit? Right. What we're going to do is we're going to make our dough now. So you're going to need the jug of milk, your beaten egg, and your melted butter. We're going to put it all into the flour. It doesn't really matter what order. Just tip them in, as so. It's my egg. And you'll see you'll see the milk go in, and then the yeast will follow, all kind of frothy. And I might just need to scoop some of that yeast out. And then all we need to do, oh, sorry, and I have missed something out. I'm really sorry, guys. And 75 grams of sugar. Actually, yeah, make that 70 because we've already added 2 teaspoons. I'm really sorry. It was going to happen that it's a few too many ingredients and lots of talking. 70 grams of caster sugar needs to go into that as well. I know that you're going to have to weigh that out, so I'm really sorry that I didn't add that in a bit earlier.
Freya from Bristol, age 11, having a bake-off with first time as the Madisons.
Well done.
And it's yeast mix, not doing anything.
Don't worry too much if you've got in-date yeast or fresh yeast. I do find fresh yeast doesn't act as much. The only other thing you could do is just pop it in the microwave for like 10 seconds or add an extra teaspoon of sugar to it and see if that activates it.
Can you repeat everything you said?
Yes, I will, because I know I suddenly went fast and added another ingredient. So 75 grams of sugar was also needed in that. So in my bowl I have, and I've not done anything with it because I'm waiting for you guys, we've got the milk mix with the yeast, we've got the beaten egg, and we had the melted butter, all went in along with 75 grams of sugar. And all I'm going to do is start mixing that together. So it's a big gloopy, gluey looking mess at the moment. We all good? Sorry for the omission of sugar for a minute, but I remembered, so it's all good. It's all good. Right, so you need just a bit of arm muscle, unless of course you're using a mixer, of which case put it on the bread mixing and enjoy it doing the job. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do it by hand, and I'm just going to keep mixing it until it's picked up all of the loose bits of flour at the bottom. So I don't really want to put my hands in until we've got to that stage. So keep giving it a good mix. It will eventually pick everything up. Right. Once you've got to that stage, yeah, we've got some questions.
Will granulated sugar be okay, and is the butter in yet?
Yeah, so your 90 grams of melted butter went in with the beaten egg, and 75 grams, if granulated is what you've got, use granulated. That goes in, and the milk. So every part that we've done so far has gone into this dough.
What about brown sugar?
We are going to use brown sugar later, but I've not tried it with this. It is a sugar, so therefore it will sweeten. It may just alter the flavour slightly.
Maureen lost her internet connection. Can you repeat adding of the wet ingredients?
Okay, so you've got your 600 grams of flour minus a spoonful for using on your worktop. And we added 70 grams of sugar. We added the beaten egg. We did the 90 grams of melted butter and the egg and the milk mix, which had your yeast in it.
Laura's asking, when do you put in the cinnamon?
Not yet. We're not going to add the cinnamon to this. All will be revealed. I promise I haven't forgotten the cinnamon in the cinnamon buns. I'm going to put the flour onto my worktop and just spread it out a bit into just a nice circle. Not too far, just a little bit. Just like a dinner plate size. Are we all thumbs up? Yeah, we good? Right, so I'm going to tip my dough, which is a bit sticky at the moment, onto my floured surface. Now we need to knead this. If you've never kneaded bread before, you're basically, I'm going to press my palm. Can they see this all right, Mr. Boozy Baker? I'm just going to check the angle. Is that okay? Okay, I'm going to push it down with my palm and then use my fingers to pull it up and over. So I'm folding it. So pushing down and bringing it up with my fingers. I'm going to turn it, push it down with my palm in the centre and bring the sides up and into the middle. So I'm going to just speed that up. It will feel a bit sticky to the touch at the moment. We've got to get the glutens working in this bread mix. And the flour on your surface, some of it will help to stop the stickiness, but it's mainly, we're going to make it more elasticity, give it some elasticity by getting those glutens in the bread flour working. As I said, if you try this with other flour, like a plain or self-raising, it doesn't have the same amount. So you might be able to get it to do something, but it will take a lot of kneading to get those glutens released. Have we got any questions about anything? So this is the probably the most technical and a little bit harder than our usual ones, but it'll be so worth it. And once you've done it, if you do it again, you know you'll know what you're doing more. So it's all good. So I'm just there's if you've got kids and they're just doing that, that's no problem. It's no problem at all. Let them have a bit of fun with it. But you just need to fold it over, put some weight on it. It's quite therapeutic, I find. And you'll see now, it's not sticking to the table. I've got it to a point that it's not sticking to my hand, it's not sticking to the table, and I just need to work with it for a while.
Susan's joined us late. She's asked, do you have to warm the milk up first before adding the yeast?
Yes, please.
And how much butter is melted? Okay,
so you've got 90 grams of the butter needs to be melted. Yeah, if you warm the milk up to body temperature, and then we added a couple of the teaspoons of the sugar first, dissolved that into the milk, and then we added the yeast and stirred that in and left it to one side whilst we worked on the rest of the things needed for our dough. So we just did a couple of 30-second burst in the microwave for the milk, stirred it, and then gave it another 30 seconds, and that was fine.
How long do you knead for, and how long do you need if using a KitchenAid?
Okay, so if you're kneading by hand, I'm going to do this and talk to you for the next 7 or so minutes, which sounds like a long time, but it's going to go so fast because we can talk to each other. If you are using a KitchenAid, you could probably do it in 5. You can overdo dough in a machine, you can't overdo it by hand. So this is a really good thing to do, well, just for therapy. If you're annoyed with someone, it's quite useful just to press down on that dough as well. If you're just, oh no, Miss Boozy Baker, you haven't done anything. It's I just love the feeling, and it's satisfying as well when you've got it from that kind of gluey kind of looking mess, and the more you do it, you end up with quite a silky looking ball. So if you're not going to be able to type and do this, but if you've got someone else in your kitchen, feel free to hand them the phone and ask questions and be your helper. I'm using quite a lot of arm muscle to press down on this. Bit of a workout at the same time. You're whisking last week and now we're doing kneading. See, it's your fitness task. I mean, you're going to need it anyway because 12 buns this is going to make.
The reins are still sticky.
If it's really sticky, put some more flour with it. If it's just a tad sticky, bear with it. Or put some flour on your hands and try that first. If we've got any other questions, it's probably gone quiet because everyone's a bit kneading. And it does take a while, but it will take a while in a machine anyway. I've got to say, I make bread quite frequently. I've got nice machines, I've got the dough hooks, but I still do it by hand.
Rona's saying using the kit, if you need more flour on the surface, can you use any flour?
Yes, any flour on the surface is absolutely fine.
And Mag's Guy, this is the beginning, can it be watched again somewhere?
Yes, so straight after this live video, I'm going to save it, so it will go on the page and you can watch it from Facebook. And then we will put it onto YouTube. I think I might put it on this week, just for anyone that wants to watch it straight away, because Max, bless him, is taking about 5-6 days to put them up. Our cheesecake one is now on. I've actually not done my bit by telling you that. But I will put it up on YouTube as well. So there'll be 2 places for you to watch it. So still kneading.
Lucy's using a KitchenAid to drinking gin whilst watching.
Oh, nicely done.
And Edwina's saying it's putting steps on her Fitbit.
Yeah. I said, you think you're just baking for a treat, but you're not. You've done science, and now we're getting fit. It's a very all-inclusive workshop that we do.
Joe Wicks is borrowing it off for Monday.
If you are enjoying our workshops, please do follow our Facebook page. And as I said, our YouTube channel that we've now set up, we've put all the different workshops on there, and each one in the description has the ingredients that you need before you start. So you can go to there, find the ingredients list, get your ingredients, and then go back to it and follow along. So this is looking pretty good. I'm going to give it a bit longer. I'm going to change my approach just because my wrist is still a little bit sore from all the scone making we were doing over VE Day. It's pretty good now, but I'm just going to change it up.
Virginia made the cheesecake and came up gorgeous.
Lovely. Yeah, I've got to put all your pictures on. It's not from one lack of trying to get on with things. It's just been a really busy week, but I will put that online soon. You sent me some lovely pictures. Oh, my glasses are falling down. So once you've got a nice solid dough that's keeping its shape, and it's not sticky and it's forming quite a nice glossy ball, you've got to a good stage, but it might take you a bit longer. I don't know where you were. You might have been a bit behind where I was with the stirring. So we'll just give us a thumbs up or comment when you're ready.
Susan saying, so first watching and taking notes to make later. Really clear and simple so far. Thank you.
Oh, I'm really glad. I do try my best. I am a complete chatterbox, so I'm aware that I have to repeat myself because I might go a bit fast.
Pauline's asked, can you leave this dough in the fridge overnight and cook in the morning?
So yes, you can, but we're going to leave it at a stage where you have cinnamon buns that are ready to prove, and then if you want to, you can leave those in the fridge overnight. So you literally, in the morning for breakfast, you can just get up and put them in the oven.
Lindsay's out of breath.
Told you, it's really good, this. It's a good workout.
And Ella's asked, what's the YouTube channel name?
It's Boozy Bakers, We actually have 2, not because we're greedy, but because I don't remember how to get into the first one. So it's got about 120 subscribers, and you'll see it's called Boozy Bakers. And if you put in Cheesecake Workshop or Scone Workshop, it will come up as well. Or put Boozy Baker Workshop.
Anne's first time here, and it's amazing. 9-year-old
Brilliant.
daughter is loving this.
Lovely, excellent. We're going to be doing more. Next week we're doing tea loaves. And that is a fat-free tea loaf. It's still very yummy. It's a bit like a malt loaf, but no butter or milk or anything required.
Karen's asked, do we need to live locally to order from you?
No. So you can, if you are local, you can order your cream teas, celebration cakes, cupcakes. If you live further away, or maybe you're local, but you'd like to treat someone that's further away, we have an online shop. You go to www.boozybakers.co.uk and you can buy cake slices, biscuits, brownies, celebration tray bakes, boozy marshmallows, and they're all there, and we post out every week. You can order there anytime, and we send them straight to your door, first class, or if it's a sponge cake, it's inclusive of special delivery.
Helen's asked, how sticky is the mix?
So mine's not, it's soft. I mean, it's really soft, but it's not sticking to me. And that's what you want to get to. It's not a hard dough at all. I mean, you can see that if I punch it, it's holding my print. It's pretty soft there. But that's about right for me.
Alexa said the 7 minutes time was up.
Hey!
7 minutes, starting now.
Oh no!
I'll turn my Alexa off.
I think we're going to have a timer go off. No, it's my the Kindle one here. Naughty Alexa.
Alexa, cancel timer.
Right, so once you've got that, I'm going to give you a bit longer in case you need it. But if you give us a thumbs up, that would be brilliant. So don't want to move on until you're all ready.
Natalie asked, what does it mean if it's a bit rubbery?
I don't think you've got a problem if it's a bit rubbery. It will kind of, we're going to roll it in a minute, but it will kind of come back. It means that the glutens are stretching.
Getting lots of thumbs up.
Good, good. My glass is dripping. Do that. Keep tidy. Yeah, if you did buy a kit for today and it's been useful to you, we have got one for the tea loaf on our shop as well. And if you've enjoyed doing this workshop today and you think, I want to do another one, or I know someone that would really enjoy it, you can buy a cinnamon bun kit with method, and it will tell you where to go to find the online tutorial for it, one of these workshops too. Right, assuming you are all there, we're going to now melt lots of thumbs up. Okay, we're going to melt the remaining 50 grams of butter. If you've already melted it, that's fine. Just leave it be. So just 30 seconds. We just want it that it's so soft we can combine other things to it. I don't need it to be heated.
Gina's not scared of yeast anymore.
Excellent.
Beth's is a bit floury. Is that okay?
Yeah. If it's dry, maybe add a bit of oil to it. Put a bit of oil on your hand and just put it in.
I'm getting lots of kneading puns as well.
Oh, he's keeping them all to himself.
Can we add sultanas, and if so, how much? There you go, we're back.
Sorry, we lost our connection for a minute. So all I've said is, if you've bought a kit, you'll have it saying cinnamon mix. So you can just forget this bit.
Yeah, no, other people have...
Okay, sorry, we lost connection, so we're just waiting for you all to filter back in.
Thumbs up if you're back with us, please.
We haven't done anything, I promise, we waited. We all good?
Thumbs up are coming through.
Excellent.
Yeah, just give people a few more seconds.
Yeah, that's fine.
They're coming
Sorry,
back.
we lost connection. We have not done anything. Mr. Boozy Bakers was hot on that and stopped me immediately. So we haven't done anything else. We've got in front 50 grams of the melted butter. And what I was about to explain was if you wanted to diversify from the cinnamon mix. So if you've got a kit, that's what you've got. You just need to just wait a minute. You've got your melted butter. And if you just hang on a sec. If you don't want to do cinnamon, then you need to get 30 grams of brown sugar and 30 grams of your caster sugar or granulated if that's what you've got. And don't use the 2 or 3 tablespoons of cinnamon. I know that's a lot of cinnamon. And it does look a crazy amount, but when we've added it to what we're going to create as a paste, it's not as much as you think. So if you don't want to use cinnamon, just leave that out. I will keep your dried fruit. I would say a good handful of dried fruit for an adult handful would be sufficient, something like 30 to 50 grams depending on how fruity you want it, but keep them aside for a minute. Has everyone got melted butter in front of them?
How much butter?
So that's 50 grams. That's the remainder of the butter that was required, 50 grams. Or 40% if you melted it all. That's not a problem.
Can you repeat the cinnamon steps and sugar?
Yeah. So once you've got your 50 grams of melted butter, we've got 30 grams of brown sugar, 30 grams of caster sugar, or if you've got granulated, you can use that. And I've got I think mine's probably about 2.5 tablespoons of cinnamon. I think it's about 25 grams, isn't it? Something like that. So that's, I've just measured those out. I appreciate that you need the time to do that.
We're getting thumbs up and butter done.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think this recipe definitely has more steps to it than the ones we've previously done. So if you are new to our workshops and you thought, crikey, that was quite intense, go back and look at our other workshops. We had some really quite nice, easy going ones. This one is the most technical. But it's what you guys wanted, and we have simplified it, I promise. There's no hours and hours of waiting for this.
Susan used 90 grams earlier, still have only 10 grams left. In total there should have been about 140 to 150 grams of butter. 90 of it was needed for the first stage.
Yes, so 90 and then 50. So if you've got any more butter, you're going to need some liquid, because what we're going to do is create a cinnamon paste or a sugar paste if you don't have cinnamon. And what I want to do is create this paste and have it ready, and then we're going to go back to the dough.
Okay. Can you say the quantities of the caster sugar?
Yeah,
and
no
the
problem.
Brown sugar and everything again?
So it's 30 of brown, 30 of the caster sugar, and about 2 to 3 tablespoons, depending on how much cinnamon you like, of cinnamon.
And in the kits,
it's just, sorry, thank you. In the kit, it just says cinnamon mix. So once everyone's weighed that out, basically, guys, if you've had a kit off us, yours is already done. Yes, should have done that, shouldn't I? So yours will say cinnamon mix. So yours is a combination of what we're doing now. So you just need to just chill for a minute, have a glass or something, wait for everyone to measure.
that's the other question, is what are you drinking?
What am I drinking? What am I drinking, Mr. Boozy Baker? You poured it for me. It's very nice.
Blood orange gin. and tonic.
Blood orange gin and tonic, and it's lovely. Is it the Melfi one? Yeah, Melfi gin.
The recipe online states 50 grams of brown sugar.
Oops. I think originally I put it for a more of a paste, and I actually didn't use all the paste. So if you want to use what I've said, 50-50, just keep it even, but you might want a bit more butter. So I'm very sorry about that. but you don't need any more of it at least. So I've done 30, 30 and 2.5 tablespoons of the cinnamon.
And you've mentioned a chocolate version before.
Yes, I have. So if you want to do a Nutella or chocolate spread version, you don't need any of this. So you can just, again, chill out for a minute. I just need to make sure that everyone's got everything. Assuming there's some thumbs up coming in, that everyone's got that.
Some people have put all their caster sugar in the first time. The 115.
Oh, I see. Okay. You're going to need some sugar for this because you've got to make a sugar syrup to go inside your roll. So we've got the brown sugar going in to your butter. We've got the caster sugar going into the butter.
And how much cinnamon again?
So 2 to 3 tablespoons. It's about 25 grams at most you'll want. That's for taste. It does look like such a lot. And I normally would not use anything like it. But in the bready mix, all pasted on, it does spread quite a way. So I'm just going to mix that up. So this will form quite a thick paste. You do need it quite thick, because if it's not, it's going to run all over your dough. So you should have quite a dark mix there. And it's quite viscous, sorry. It's quite viscous. So quite thick. It falls off the spoon gradually.
Andy got the weeks wrong, so actually made the cinnamon buns last week with the kit. They were the best cinnamon buns.
Oh, good! That's good to know. Let's move that out of the way.
And Leanne's enjoying the smell.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got to say, making up the kit and the tea loaf one as well. Oh, they smell so good before they've even baked. Wait until they're in the oven.
Aaron's computer shut down after melting butter. So what we
Okay, so you had your bowl with the 50 grams of butter. We've added 30 grams of brown sugar, 30 grams of caster sugar, and a couple of tablespoons of cinnamon. I've got about 2.5 in mine. I wouldn't put any more than 3 tablespoons in. And it should end up with a nice thick paste.
And if it's quite runny?
You could always add more sugar, just equal quantities to make it a bit thicker. It might be that you just need to let it set for a bit. I did this the other week with Max, and we melted the butter, and it was really hot, and it was very, very thin. But as the butter cools, this will become thicker. So you could always leave it a minute. The reason I've done that step now, and it looks a bit disjointed, is to allow that to cool down a bit whilst we go back to the dough.
And Kirsty's doing chocolate, so doesn't need the butter the measure?
No, you can, if you're doing chocolate, you are fine. So I'm just going to give you all a minute and have a sip, and then we'll go back to the dough. We've got some thumbs up happening. It's a bit of a longer workshop, this one.
Is it teaspoons or tablespoons?
Tablespoons. So it's around, you want a minimum of 15 grams, and I'd say probably about 25 grams of cinnamon. It does seem excessive, I know. We good? Right, so I've got just that little bit of flour underneath my dough. We're now going to roll this out.
Do you need to put raisins in yet?
You need to roll it out first, and then you can sprinkle your fruit on. So I want this to be about, I think I said 25 by 45. I haven't written it down, but yeah, about 25 by 45 centimetre rectangle, about the size of your baking tray that you're going to need. So if I haven't said that, I'm really sorry. There's a lot of steps to this. Eventually, we're going to place these on just a regular baking tray. So there's mine, just a regular baking tray, and I've got some parchment paper that I've just put on top, and that's just to stop them sticking from my tray, because if you've watched these before, you know I have no trust of baking trays. So this is going to take a bit of rolling. Max did this and he expected it to roll straight away. It's got that elasticity built into it now, so you are going to have to work with it because it will keep bouncing back. But you want this to keep as rectangular as possible. So think like when we did the pizza bases. So I'm going to keep using my hands to keep it in that rectangular shape.
See?
You don't have to measure this out exactly. Think like your baking tray size. And I'm just, if you're worried about it sticking, you might want to get a bit more flour underneath. But it shouldn't really stick now because it should kind of like being a fully formed dough. So I'm just going to keep, see it keeps coming back a bit. I'm just going to keep rolling that nice and thin because we're going to roll it up. So it's going to have that thick doughiness, but we want to have the cinnamon mix in between. So, Mr. Busy Baker, do you know where the tape measure went?
Kids have it. It's over here.
Aha. So I'm just going to keep that nice. It might be a bit rounded on the sides, but yeah, I've got to about 37 by 28. So I don't really want it any wider, but I do want it a tad bit longer. It's not, you don't have to be exact. Are you all right there? Are you watching the questions?
If no rolling pin, wine bottle, okay?
Wine bottle is a perfect reason to, use it, absolutely.
After you've drained it. And how thin should it be?
So think like a pizza dough base. You want it relatively thin because you're going to be rolling this up. So that's about right. I think I've probably got it a bit wider today, but I just want to keep it very rectangular. Right, we good?
Should we put thumbs up?
I've got a bit of a thicker corner there, so I'm just going to even that out. There. So once you've got, as I said, it's about the same size as my baking tray.
Can you repeat the measurements, please?
Yeah, so this is about 25 by 45. That doesn't have to be exact, but that's about the same measurement as my baking tray. It's nice and thin. It's like a pizza base. So it's about, if you haven't got a tape measure, you can see I've got quite long arms because I'm 6 foot, but by end of my finger to my elbow type measurement, and shorter. Nice big rectangle.
Diane's come in, so a bit late. Can I watch this later?
Absolutely, you can. Enjoy the rest of it, and then when you're ready, we will save this video and we'll also upload it to our YouTube channel, so you can watch from either Facebook or YouTube. I'll wait for you guys to be all rolled out with your wine bottle or your rolling pin.
What is the minimum amount of cinnamon we can use to still have the required flavour?
It's taste. So, I mean, I would say at least put a tablespoon in. But if you don't want to use cinnamon, don't put it in at all. And I'll tell you when you can add other things, I promise. Are we good? I'm looking to the side to make sure Mr. Busy Baker is telling me when I can move on. Are we all right? Right. If you are using chocolate spread, you want to cover the whole surface in chocolate spread. If you are using a non-cinnamon mix, so you put the sugar and the butter together, you're going to spread that on and then you're going to scatter your fruits evenly. Now, if you've got your cinnamon mix, we're going to dollop it on. And I'm going to use the back of my spoon just to spread it all around. So as you might find now, for anyone that found it a bit thin, it's got a bit thicker. So we do try out all these recipes for the purpose of the workshops. So I adapt them all to make it easy. I hope it's easy to follow. And one thing that I found was doing the melted butter with cinnamon mix straight away, you ended up with a very thin mixture that just poured out. So it was quite important that we just left a bit of time for it to set a bit, so we didn't have that problem. So you do want quite a thick paste that's not going to roll out when we roll this up.
Karen has round tins.
Round tins. Okay, so when we do it, we're going to leave a bit of space between each cinnamon bun. Just split them between the 2 round tins if you've got 2 round tins. I'll explain. Don't worry too much about the tin situation, and I'll show you mine, and then you can make a decision of how you put yours together. Oh, I feel this one's a bit more serious than usual, this workshop. We need some shout outs and things, but you're probably all very busy. So this is definitely the most complicated one we've done. So I hope you're still enjoying it.
Helen says you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Susie says, I bet everyone in your house loves all the testers you do for the workshops.
This one, if you've seen Max on my workshops, he's not a massive fan of sweet things, which is ridiculous when you're in this house. But he loves cinnamon buns. Loves them.
Reese found the paste is far too runny.
If it's too thin still, it might be an idea to add more of your dry ingredients just to soak up that butter. Just add it in equal amounts.
We've got a hi to the Tonkin kids.
Hello!
Tompkins.
Well done for taking part.
Are we needing a border?
No, you don't. I'm actually struggling to get my paste. My paste is quite thick. So I'm just trying to get it right to the edge.
I think you missed that one, Joe. Border isn't living with us.
Oh, sorry. Create straight over my head there. The thing is, though, it comes with a lot of washing up. It seems like a really good idea when you see the sweet treats, and then you realise how much tidying goes into it, and you really wouldn't like it. Poor Mr. Boozy Baker can't wait to be back at work.
My step count's around about 30,000 a day.
It is, and he doesn't leave the kitchen. Right, that's me about
fruit on now.
Yeah, if you've got your fruit, scatter it. You might want to press it in just a little bit, just so it sticks into place rather than kind of moving with your dough when we roll it up in a minute.
And Martha, age 9, is saying hers is looking the same as yours.
Excellent, well done.
And Annette is enjoying licking the spoon there.
Oh, well, I don't know. It's not quite cinnamon challenge when it's got sugar in, so I think it would be all right to do that. Haven't tried it myself. Are we all good?
Yeah.
It does take a while, depending on how thick your cinnamon paste is. As I said, I did this the other week for Max's birthday, and I poured it on and thought, oh, this is much easier to cover. And then as I rolled it up, it was all coming towards me in this flood of cinnamon mix. So I thought, okay, we might need to just adjust that a little bit.
Helen's doing a shout out to Deb. Lockdown has turned her into a domestic goddess.
Amazing. Hello.
Susan and Elaine are both WI members joined.
Excellent. Today. I think we've got quite a few WI groups come and join us. We love that.
Rachel socially distancing in the garden with synchronised tables with Mum Jean.
Oh, brilliant! I mean, take photos of what you're doing and feel free to send them to us. We have families that send us like a collage of what they've done and also the finished results. We love your photos.
Maureen's so thick let's use a metal ruler to spray.
It's not going to roll off then, is it? Right, so once you've done that, I'm going to move that out of the way. We're going to go from, so we're rolling along the longest edge. You can roll away from you or towards you. I don't really mind. I'm going to do it away from me just so you can see as well. I'm going to tuck this first bit in and just bring it around like that. And then, very carefully, start rolling it. You don't need to do it fast. You just want to roll it. I do find doing this that the ends aren't as big cinnamon rolls as the middle. So there's always a little bit of a fight for the biggest cinnamon rolls in this house.
I lose.
But that's, I could give it, I've never tried that actually, but I'm just going to give it a little bit of a roll there just to even it out. So you should have a log. If you look at the end, you will see the nice roll.
Reposition that slightly so people can see that away from the comments. There we go.
So you'll either have your sugar and fruit, or you'll have your cinnamon mix or your chocolate mix running through that. So I'm hoping you've all got to that stage. Fingers crossed. Give us a thumbs up when you're there.
It's got lots of WI people on today.
Excellent.
Kate, Maureen, Louise. We're getting lots of thumbs up now. Lucy and Emma making chocolate and cinnamon rolls.
Nice.
Tara's watching her mum Gina bake.
Excellent. When you do this, I do appreciate this is going to make us quite a few cinnamon rolls. So I'm going to give you some more information here. So most traditional recipes would ask you to prove the bread first or the dough and then do this. We've reduced the amount of steps. We're going to cut this up. If you don't want 12 cinnamon buns straight away, you can cling film them and put them in the freezer. And then bring them out when you're ready to eat them, allow them to rise. I'll come back to it as well so it makes more sense. What was my other point going to be? If you don't want to eat them all now but you're going to eat them in the near future, once you've cut them up and put them on a tray, you can be an absolute domestic goddess, put some cling film over it and leave them till the morning and bake them for a breakfast treat. That's fine too. So once you've got your log, assuming that you're there, I'm going to cut it in half because me and measurements do not match. So this is the way I do it. Cut it in half, cut each half in half. So we've now got quarters. And then each one of those I'm going to cut into 3 because I can manage that. Concentration face.
Susie says you've inspired her to get a glass of wine.
Excellent.
Baconists need to get strong bread flour and self-isolate. The wine can do.
Well, if you do want to give this a go and you can't get the ingredients, the cinnamon bun kits will stay on our shop. You can buy them anytime and then watch it with the recording of this, or just use the method that's contained in the box.
Claire's loving the workshop. Thank you for helping bake with yeast. Been too scared to bake with yeast before.
Oh, excellent. I'm really glad we could help with that.
Reese asks, do you pinch them at the bottom?
No, I'm going to show you what we do. So I've got my baking tray with my parchment on. I'm now going to get the first one. I don't like that end because it doesn't look very cinnamony. I'm going to use that side and I'm going to put it up and I'm going to give it a little press down. Now you need to put these on your tray and allow for them to be able to rise. These are going to get bigger still because they're amazing. So I'm going to shape them a bit because where I've cut them, they've gone a little bit like an eye shape. So I'm just going to press them down ever so slightly with just a light amount of pressure. I'm also, for the person that said about round tins, you can put them on anything. What's going to happen with these are they're going to expand and they will end up touching each other. I can fit about 2 fingers between the 2 of them and they will rise. So if you have a different size tin, you can put them in any kind of dish or round tin. Just give it enough room that they can grow. And they will touch each other and that is no problem because that will mean you've got nice soft sides. They won't bake on every which way. They will be a bit softer by keeping them together. Oh, that one's still joined.
Mike says he always starts with a bottle of wine. He finds it helps.
Does, yeah. So I might just move these as I put them out, just to keep them equal distance away. I might have actually chosen a little bit of a smaller tin today.
Lynn's saying, what kind of knife did you use? Hard to cut and going squidgy.
Yeah, so I've just got a basic kitchen knife. Mine did, if I show you, mine did do that. Can they see that all right?
Yeah.
So mine's like an eye shape. So all I'm doing is bringing it back to a normal size. I'm also not using that side because that doesn't look so good. I want them you to see my nice cinnamon as well. So I've put it up that way. I'm going to show you what I've done. As I said, I think my tray is slightly smaller than your standard tray. And I would probably put them on a bigger size if I'd picked the right tray out the drawer. But they'll be fine. They'll just squidge together nicely.
Lisa said, do we proof before freezing the dough?
No. So if you want to freeze them now. And then when you want to eat them, put them out and let them prove then. I think is the general consensus on that.
Sarah's saying your cinnamon rolls are socially distancing one another.
They are socially distancing. You're right. Well done. So that's what they look like. I said if they're slightly further apart, that's not a bad thing. This is actually a slightly smaller tray than I normally use. About 2 fingers, adult kind of. I've got quite slim fingers, bit ET like, but it's about just under 2 fingers worth. And I've just lightly pressed them down, ever so slightly, just so that we get that nice big swell visible.
Laura says they smell so good. Gina says can't wait to eat them.
I'm going to say don't eat them yet.
Kay has buttered the tin, no parchment paper. Is that okay?
Yeah, that'll be fine. You can also, if you want, if you've got a bit of brown sugar and sugar left, you could always sprinkle that on the bottom. So what you need to do is cover these now for about an hour. You can put cling film over them, or you can get a tea towel and maybe make it a little bit damp, get a bit of water and just make it into a damp tea towel and cover them. And you'll need to leave them for about an hour to 2 hours. Now our kitchen's quite warm. We've not got windows open because we don't want any outside noise coming in. So an hour will suffice. But what you want to do is to check them, and you'll want all of the buns touching, and they'll have risen and look amazing. So leave them. Don't worry, I'm not leaving you there yet. In fact, I'll uncover them just so you can see them. But I will cover mine and leave them on the side.
That's amazed that being able to do this. Tried last year, it was disastrous.
Yeah, I did see a number of comments that people are talking to each other and saying, mine took hours, and these, you will love them because they will work. We've just taken out a few steps and making them more accessible to do quite quickly for a bread product. When you've got them covered and you're leaving them, once they've touched each other and they've grown, you can then put them in the oven, and it's a temperature of 180. So you need to write this down, but I'll watch it back. 180 for a conventional, 160. Could you stop the hammering for me for a sec? 180, 160 for fan, or gas mark, let me get this right, gas mark 4. And we're going to bake them for 20 minutes, but not yet. Don't do it yet. Keep them out the oven. Let them prove in the room with either some cling film over them or a damp tea towel. Leave them for an hour or 2. You can leave them for longer if you want. But leave them until they're all touching, and only then do you need to preheat your oven to 180 conventional, 160 for fan, or gas mark 4, and you bake them for 20 minutes. So that's it, just 20 minutes.
Louise said hers are closer together. I don't know if that's because of your tray, Louise.
If they're really close together already, maybe put them onto 2 trays if you don't have a bigger tray, or a bigger tray.
cling film in loosely?
Yeah, you don't want anything tight against them because we don't want it sticking to the dough. So just loosely, we just don't want them to dry out and lots of oxygen get to them. So a damp tea towel is the best thing, or cling film, just loosely over them.
Kirsty, first time, look great. I have a smaller one, equals tester.
Yeah. So I'm going to show you, you don't need to do this yet, I'm just going to show you for now. When they're baked, could you pass me the icing sugar please, Richard? Thank you, and a bit of water please. When they're baked, I've actually got a lot of icing sugar here because we just chucked it in at last minute in an attempt to be ready for today's workshop. So don't do this yet, this is just showing you for when they're baked. This takes seconds to do. You want about 90 to 100 grams of icing sugar and just add a little bit, just do a tablespoon or so at a time, and we're looking for a nice drizzly consistency, and then you can drizzle this with a spoon over the top. So you don't need to do this now.
Rianne's asked, can I check the gas mark number again please?
Yeah, gas mark 4.
Diane's saying can taste them already.
Don't. What I would say is don't eat the mixture on these until they're cooked because they contain yeast, so you'll get a tummy ache.
Heather, if cooking next day, do I prove them in the fridge?
Yeah, if you're wanting to do them for breakfast, say, you can put them in the fridge overnight and they will prove slowly. So proving is the technical term for the rising of the bread dough. So yeah, do it. Put them in with cling film over them, and put them in the fridge, and they'll be great. You can then put them straight in the oven for breakfast.
Annette has done half a batch, but 12 little ones. So would I cook for a bit less time?
Yeah, you might want to have a check of them on 15 minutes or so if they're smaller. You want them to be golden brown. You've got sugar between each layer of dough. I don't need any more of that actually. You've got sugar between each layer of dough, which will help them with the even baking. That's my icing. It's runny, but it's not. It's got a bit of thickness to it. It's not just too watery. If you've got a kit. Oh, wrong one. No, don't do it yet. You don't need to. This is just me showing you for advance. You've got your icing sugar in your kit. Just add a tablespoon of water and see what the thickness is, and then you can always add a bit more water, but you can't take the water out. So just do it gradually.
How do you freeze them?
So if you freeze them, if I were you, I would get cling film around them and pop them in. So you could, if it's too difficult to do that, you could put them into a container briefly until they're a little bit more solid and then put cling film around them. But you just want to keep them sealed.
For the icing sugar, was the water warm?
No, just regular water with some icing sugar. You don't need to do this step yet. I'm just showing you for the purpose of later. And then when these are proven and they've gone into the oven and they've come out and they're nice and warm, I'm going to give them, say, 5 minutes just to cool a little bit. And then I would get my icing sugar and I would drizzle over the top like that and just cover them with as much as you would like.
Gina's asked, do we do an egg wash on them or anything before baking?
Nope, not at all. They will come out. I found that to begin with, when you bring them out, the dough feels a little bit harder than I'd like, and it softens really quickly once it's out of the oven, and it's just the perfect cinnamon bun texture.
Phoebe said, should they be in the oven or resting?
No, just on the side with either. I've taken mine off just so you could see what mine looked like, just in case you're a little bit further behind. So just a damp tea towel covering them. Mine's not actually damp at the moment. Or some cling film just lightly put over the top. You just want to stop them from going crusty and drying out whilst they're proving. So give them a good hour or two. Wait until they're touching and you can see that they're bigger, and then put them in a preheated oven at either 180 conventional, 160 fan or gas mark 4 for 20 minutes.
Susanna said, thank you so much, you kept my husband quiet for ages. Heather, if freezing, do I have to defrost and prove before cooking?
Yes, Yes, so it'll basically you're delaying the process. So you still need to go back to it. So if you freeze them now and you get them out, then you're going to need to let them to defrost and prove. So give them an hour or two and then bake them.
Can you freeze cooked ones?
Try and let us know. I mean, it's bread, and you can freeze bread, but you won't get that freshly baked taste of the cinnamon buns.
They don't last long enough in our house with our son around.
No, Max will devour these before I get to take a photo, guaranteed.
Claire found cutting a bit tricky, got 9 big ones instead of 12.
There is never a problem with larger cinnamon buns. Just if you have got bigger ones than that, then maybe just check them in the oven, and you can always add like a couple of minutes on at the end just to make sure that they're cooked. They will smell amazing as you cook them. And as I said, they'll go golden brown. What I might do for you guys is, in fact, would you mind just putting a bit of damp? You might need to go round me. You're going to. Oh yeah, we've got some water there. We're just going to put some water onto the tea towel and prove ours. And you can see, I'm pretty sure they're growing already, or I put them too close together in places. But what I might do is come back on live at about 4:15, and just see how you're getting on. So if you have any questions, I might do that, and then when they're baked, I will come back on again. So you don't need to follow. This is all you need. If you follow the instructions and they're on a tray and you've given them a good hour at least and they're touching, put them in the oven for your 20 minutes, and then just glaze with an icing sugar and you're done. Thank you, love. But if you want to talk to me, I will come on live in about an hour's time to see how you're getting on, and you can always ask me questions then, because we want you to be happy with your cinnamon buns.
Still questions about freezing and proofing. So when you freeze them before you proof them, and as you defrost, they will proof.
Yeah, so if you freeze them now, you get them out, and you give them a good hour or two to rise, you'll see the difference in them. You'll see them, and you'll see that if you give them a bit of space, they will join, and when they're joined, you know that they've grown enough to put in the oven.
Again, lots of great workshops, and thank you.
You're very welcome.
Missing the children this week.
I know, they do love the results, but the thing is, whenever we do these workshops, we've actually done them to make sure that it's and easy to follow. We've actually made them at least twice before these workshops, so by the time we go live, the kids are like, again. So sometimes they are really up for it, and other weekends they just want to like come into the kitchen when they're done and just eat them. But please do send us your photos. Let us know how you get on. Give us a like. We are always adding new things and doing new things. We're always, oh yes, thank you, Mr. Boozy Baker. And then if you've enjoyed this, you can buy the cinnamon bun kits again, so you can make them again and again and again. So hang on, let's do this in the right order. So you heard from someone earlier who said they made them a different week because they got confused with their dates, and they used the method attached, so you're never on your own. You can come back to this workshop and follow it, but you also have a method. And you can buy that as a gift as well, and it's got everything. I don't know if you can see that, but it's got everything you need, bar the butter and the milk and the egg. But there's a lot of dried goods in this ingredient, so we felt that it would be a good way to make sure that you can take part is to put it all as a kit. So you can buy that one again to treat yourself or someone else to have a go, and you can recommend us as well. And the other one is the tea loaf kit. And again, you've got the method. Oh, it smells so good already, and I've only just opened it. Tea loaf kit, and then in there, you can see we've packaged it all up for you. You've still got some parchment paper, like in the cinnamon ones. You've got your tea bags. You've got your fruit, your flour mix, and your sugar and spice and all things nice mix. So we can send that out. That is next week's workshop. You don't need to buy these kits. This is just trying to make your life easier. But we are finding we're getting quite a few orders for people who want to treat the grandchildren and get them into baking, or their nieces and nephews. It's a nice, thoughtful gift. We can add a note. but we won't do it to every workshop because it depends how much dried ingredients there is. So next week tea loaf making, and I think we're going to do red velvet whoopie pies the following week. I just want to adapt that a little bit more for you guys, and then we will pop the ingredients and the event online for that.
So Gina, so you've done this at the right pace for me to follow, and it's great that you've
Good.
got the questions coming in. Thank you. Jane, great workshop. Looking forward to tea bread next week. Thank you from Kashmira and Shalina. We are calling them Sunny Bun. Alison saying great fun. Thank you. Annette, enjoyed this. Nice and messy. Washing up in a cuppa now.
Yeah. Have a well-deserved cup of tea. Wait for them, and then just make sure before your family, if you've got a few people in your household, just make sure you Bagsy the cinnamon bun that you want before they all come and take them. Because I know what people are like. Erin kind of like has her little reserve thing on one as she eyes them up. She's like, that one's mine. So I hope you've really enjoyed it. I can't think of anything else. If you want a sweet treat or you want to treat someone else, we've just put on Father's Day chocolate chip cookies. I've got a confession. We made chocolate chip cookies. We've altered them slightly to have more chocolate in. And they were so tasty. I had masses of offcuts the other night, and I was meant to just have a little bit just to check them, and I ate all the offcuts because they were too good. So they are online with various toppers. We've got a nice one with smile and a rainbow, and we've got one with Father's Day, and you can put different toppers in your box and we can send them to you. You've got the kits on there, you've got brownies, cake slices, we've got the one in lockdown birthday cake tray bakes. So there's loads of things that you can get. We are baking every day. If you happen to be local to us, we're delivering cream teas every single day. Poor Mr. Boozy Baker is even delivering on Father's Day. So if you are local, he has given up part of his Father's Day, but in exchange for a whole Father's Monday as well. So he's not losing out completely. But there's lots going on, and we really do appreciate your support. We are nearly at 5,000 followers, which is amazing. So thank you very much for all your support, and I'm really glad you're enjoying these. I think, is that it? Have we got any more questions?
I noticed in our Morrison's lots of flour going out late last evening.
Have we got any more questions, or shall we just come back at about 4:15?
I think we're ready to come back.
Yeah.
So thank you, everyone.
Thank you ever so much for taking part. If you do want to ask any other questions, you can come and find me online at about 4:15 just to check on your progress of your proving buns. All right then, thank you guys very much. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.